Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Topic. This week, I might be a time traveller. I could be a child killer. I don't know. I've got some theories. I'm Alex.
And I could potentially be a supernatural being that owns a chocolate factory. Perhaps my universe is in the same universe as yours. Or maybe I might just be dead. Who knows? I'm Dan.
And, I think my opening's a bit more dark than yours.
Yeah.
Jesus.
For sure.
I might have to rethink. Anyway, let's go with it. Let's run with it. The listeners know who we are. This week, Dan, we are going to be talking about some strange, wonderful, weird, at times dark, fan theories.
Yes.
Of the movie world. But before we get into that, before we get into the juicy, dark, chewy stuff, what have you been up to, Dan? It's been a couple of weeks. How are you doing? What have you been up to?
Oh, wow. It's not been great. It's been a bit of a mixed bag, Alex. So last time we recorded, I ended up going away to Ireland, saw the extended family of my other half, which was wonderful.
Beautiful.
The Emerald Isles, beautiful over there. Had some good weather. So anyway, coming home on a plane full of people coughing and sniffing, I thought, fucking hell, this is it. I'm going to get the Rona. And without a doubt, 2 days later, got the Rona. So had that. I'm all good. Thankfully, my symptoms were quite mild.
Oh, good.
But as the COVID was starting to play out, Alex, I had this little envisionment of how 2020 in my life had this discussion coming into the new year.
Yeah.
So 2020 goes, Dan, how do you fancy spending 4% of 2022 isolating at home? And I was like, oh, well, how so? Well, you've got to have chickenpox and COVID. Doesn't sound like much fun to me. It's non-negotiable, Dan. You've got to have both. Well, I don't really want either. Well, you're going to. Bye. And that's it. That is literally how 2022 has been so far. So I've had 2 contagious diseases and I've been stuck at home. But thankfully, that's it now. I really hope that is it for 2022. Let's get better from here.
Are you patient zero of Portsmouth then?
Potentially. I mean, if there's any weird diseases go around where you get a cold and chickenpox, that's probably me. It's like a mutation of both.
Oh, beautiful.
You could write a film on this. It could be Contagion too.
I haven't seen the first one. Is that Matt Damon, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not seen it either, to be honest. But I'm just pitching the second film. This is it. You get chickenpox and COVID in one whack, and it spreads around the world, and you mutate.
Stranger things have happened, arising from eating bats, Dan. So
yeah, exactly. So that's it really. I've not really been watching much. It's not been a great deal on apart from Moon Knight, which has been my go-to once a week, which is fantastic.
Can we just take a second, Dan? I know we often go off topic, ironically, before we talk about the episode. Can we just talk about Oscar Isaac's Stephen persona and his British accent?
I think it's fantastic.
I think it's bloody brilliant. I think it's so good. There's an element of Dick Van Dyke in it, and sometimes I cringe. But other times I'm like, actually, some people do sound like that. And he's got the euphemisms and the mannerisms and the polite Britishness, the painful polite Britishness.
Yeah.
Down to a T.
So good.
He's brilliant. I mean, this guy is from, I think he's South America. So how he's nailed it, it just goes to show just how talented actor he is. But it's wonderful. I'm really enjoying watching him on screen. I mean, I loved him in Rogue One. Was it Rogue One he was in? No, he was Poe Dameron in
the newer trilogy.
Yeah, I think he actually was the main one propping up the film at the very end. He was a constant. And he was good in that, but this is just next level. And to be able to portray multiple personalities, I mean, the guy just is phenomenal. I can't rave about him enough. He's so good.
So I think they're hinting that there is a third personality within Stephen Grant and Mark Spector, but I can't remember who the third one is.
Could reach for the comic in my bookcase, but I had to move away from you and the listener, Dan, and I'm not prepared to do that. Not this early on the recording the podcast. In the comics, he's got the personas of the kind of the strong. He's not an arsehole. I don't think it is in the MCU version, but this strong kind of secret agenty mercenary type person. You've got the weaker version, Stephen, and then you've then got this almost unhinged Punisher type person, like the psychotic killer.
Yeah.
And it's that I think that they've referenced. I think at the end of episode 3 in Egypt. What did you do? He said, "Oh, it wasn't me." Yeah, there's a third persona. So it'd be good to see that come out and how that presents itself to the two characters. But yeah, it's just so good.
I'm looking forward to reviewing it with you. Actually, what we've got a couple of weeks left, so probably look at that in May. And we'll probably, no doubt, do Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to that. That's not long.
Talking of MCU, Alex, what were your thoughts on the Thor trailer this week?
Yeah, brilliant. Tonally on point. I was worried when they first pitched that it was going to be a Guardian stroke Thor film. I wondered whether it'd be too Guardians heavy. It doesn't look like that.
It looks like they're probably in it briefly, if that.
Yeah, I wonder whether the first part of the film will investigate a little bit about what he's been doing in the partnership and how probably it's not working because he doesn't know his identity. And I hope that then if that's right, then the other remaining 2 sections of the film are him finding himself. And I don't know how Jane Foster's going to fit into it. But anyway, it's great. The music's phenomenal. I think it's on par to be another very funny film. I loved Thor 3.
Ragnarok, yeah. Stunning film.
Was great. Very good. Silly, but fun and enjoyable. I think this one's going to be the same.
I tell you what, Natalie Portman looks fantastic as the Goddess of Thunder. Pretty much taken from the comic books themselves.
Yeah.
Let's just hope her acting chops have improved since Dark World.
I'm sure it has.
We can all but hope, Alex, but she looks very toned. She's ripped.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Looking forward to it.
Stuff, yeah. Anyway, that's really it from me, Alex. What have you been up to?
Illness, colds. You can hear more stuffy than usual. It's just dirty people, Dan, isn't it? With people running around, spreading the colds, these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But hey, there we go. Also been to Denmark, so shout out to our Danish listeners. Spent last week abroad, much like you did in Ireland. I was over abroad in Denmark, Copenhagen. Lovely. They've got open sandwiches, Dan. You may have heard of them. I'm not sure if you had them before. Have you had the open sandwich, the Danish delicacy?
I can't say I have.
It is bloody brilliant. It's a posher Greg's. I might have just turned off all of our Danish listeners there because they know what Greg's are. They go, Alex, how could you? But it's very, very good. I know. But it's the closest thing I think of. Right? I don't go to Subway. Again, I might tell some other listeners who are avid Subway visitors. Anyway, very good food, very friendly people, and their coffee. If you love your coffee, go to Denmark. It's bloody brilliant. Blows your head off, but it's tasty as hell. So yeah.
Sounds like I need some of that coffee.
You do. Get it straight into your veins. So I had a wonderful time with the family, relaxed, much well needed time away. And of course, the first time abroad in quite a long time. So woe be me. I say tongue in cheek because, of course, apart from the odd cold, we've both got our health and we both had COVID recently and touch wood, everything's okay. So, I can't complain. And I've managed to get out and very fortunate. So, very lucky and just enjoying some freedom.
Well, fingers crossed, touch wood, we'll be able to be in the same room together soon.
I love this stuff.
So the only reason why we're doing it over Zoom is my other half, bless her, she's got the COVID as well. No
got the old Rona.
Yeah, she's got no symptoms. She had them very mild and she's on the road to recovery. But yeah, I don't want to risk sort of spreading it. But you know what? It's fine. We're safe. That's all that matters.
Good stuff.
So let's dive in, Alex, to some of these crazy fan film theories. I mean, some of them are quite dark,
Mm,
some of them are quite light-hearted, and some of them are
yeah.
just a little bit odd. So just to give the listener a bit of background, if they
Yeah.
haven't listened
Tell
to some
us.
of the previous episodes where we've teased it, the idea for this episode was birthed by my other half.
Oh,
So around Christmas time, she sent me a link to a fan film theory. One of our favourite, Alex, one of our favourite Christmas films, The Holiday.
oh
Fantastic.
yeah. One of my favorites.
So the theory is that Kate Winslet, when she's inhaling the gas, she snuffs it, and the entire thing of that film is a dream. A little bit dark, right?
Mm.
So that's where I was like, this could be make an interesting episode. What other crazy fan film theories are out there? So here we are. I think we've got about 8 each,
Give or take, yeah.
give or take. Do you want to start this one off, Alex?
Why not, Dan? That'd be my pleasure. Thank you. And I think I think we talked about this before, Dan. I really enjoy it when I've got to go down a rabbit hole and do lots of research for an episode. You got it in the Mandela Effect, got it in conspiracy theories, you got it in your favorite movies, Christmas movies, in fact.
Mm.
I love it, and this one was no different. And you've got to be really careful. Again, this is a disclaimer to our listeners. You know, internet safety. Be very careful how far you crawl down that rabbit hole because there's some dark stuff on the internet. So, my opening couple are a little bit miserable.
Oh,
Bear with me,
okay.
it gets a little bit lighter-hearted, but they are a little bit dark. Straight out the bat, how do you feel about Peter Pan, Dan?
Do you know what? I watched Hook the other day with
Oh,
Robin
did you?
Williams.
Was it in
Absolutely.
92?
1990, I think it was.
1990.
But you're right. It's roughly around that era. And I
Early
love
90s.
it. I think it's
Pretty good.
fantastic. Dustin Hoffman was Hook. I did
Yeah,
not
I
know
know, right?
this. I was
I know.
36 years old when I discovered that. I was now finding
But
that out.
that's why you really appreciate an actor when you're like, how is that possible? Because they look and sound and act entirely different to anything. Because Dustin Hoffman usually does comedies and is it romantic films back in the 90s? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So this is a real change for him. And he's phenomenal, isn't he?
It's really good. Love the
for
film,
those-
but yeah.
Yeah, great. Hook's brilliant. But for those who aren't quite accustomed to Peter Pan, I mean, where have you been? And question your upbringing. But it's about a child who never grows up. He has a band of children called the Lost Boys, and they're in this perpetual, forever battle with the pirates in Neverland, this fantasy world they all live and reside in. It's a lovely Disney film. It's a lovely live action film, as Dan said. Go give it a watch, go give it a read, and go enjoy it for what it is. It's a lovely children's story.
So you
But
think.
there could be a darker side, Dan. It could be actually a metaphor for the afterlife.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So one fan theory is that when children die, which in itself is pretty dark, they're brought to Peter Pan, to Neverland, or Peter takes them, almost like a dark angel, where they're given a fantastic chance at a full childhood, a childhood they can never live down. And then just when they're about to grow up, Pan kills them, sends them along to the regular afterlife, to heaven.
That's quite fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know how people come up with this, but it continues. Apparently, Captain Hook figured out what Pan was doing, killing children, and escaped without figuring out that actually the children were supposed to die once they've grown up. They got their chance of childhood, and now it's the time for them to move on. So now Pan and Hook are locked in their perpetual conflict, both of them having the best intentions for the Lost Boys, but only Pan knowing the truth, and that Hook will never listen to him long enough to entertain the idea. So actually, Hook isn't a bad guy. He just doesn't understand. And actually, Peter is the shepherd of the dead children.
Wow.
Bleak.
That is quite dark. But there can't be much in that, right? When you think of Hook,
I hope not.
when you think of Hook, obviously Peter goes to the real world. He falls in love with Wendy's granddaughter. You know, they have their own kids, etc. Are you telling me that Rufio replaced Peter Pan to continue this shepherding?
Perhaps. Yeah.
Damn.
I know. It's not to say that, Pan was a child killer or taking. That's a different fan theory, by the way. We haven't even got there yet. We're not saying that Pan does the killing. He just takes the children and gives them a childhood. But he does obviously then give them a nudge to the afterlife afterwards, which in itself is a bit dark. So I don't know, Dan. A lot of these fan theories, I'm like, I get it. Like you said at the beginning, I get it. Some of it is, how did you come up with that? And some of it is just, these people need to seek help. And I wonder whether this one is the last category. Someone needs to seek help. But it was so shocking, of such a wonderful, much loved film and book and story, that I just had to share it down. So I'm sorry, listen, I'm sorry bumming you out, but sometimes you have to share the burden, and thank you for sharing with me. That's my first one, Dan. That's Peter Pan.
Well, I'm going to kick this off with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I've got this too.
His father is him and his father are supernatural beings.
Oh no, I don't know this one.
Oh, so we've got something entirely different.
Totally.
Okay, so bear with me on this one.
Tell me.
Let's go back to the classic, 1971. You've got to wonder, Alex, is there something strange about Willy Wonka?
Sorry, very quickly, have you seen that film?
Yes.
The grandfather, he caught work, he's tucked up in bed with the family, and proclaims that, he's on death's door, or he's very old. The moment that golden ticket is delivered in a little boy's hands, that old man is at that fucking bed faster than you can say to me, I've got a chocolate gâteau sat downstairs waiting for you. And I love chocolate gâteau, by the way, Dan. He's at that bed like a click of the fingers. He's on it. He's on the take. He's cheating everyone out. The guy is a fraud, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? You've got a point.
It's a fact. That's not a fan theory. It's a fact. But anyway, less about my my misgivings of the grandfather. So you're saying, yes. So 1971 classic, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
He's a little bit odd, isn't he? So if anyone's unfamiliar with Willy Wonka, he invites 5 lucky children to explore his factory. So you had to win the golden ticket to be invited along.
Yeah.
So of course, they'll go along and they have a look around. Let me just sidetrack a minute, Alex. This film is ridiculous, right? Me 100%. And you, we would not go to Cadbury's Chocolate Factory up in, I think it's near Birmingham. You wouldn't look around and start causing mischief to the point where you're probably potentially going to kill yourself.
Nope.
You're just going to look around, be on your best behaviour, so you get your chocolate at the end. But no, these kids are a fucking nightmare.
They're absolute dicks, Dan. And
They
even
really
the newer
are.
one with Depp, like that Violet, is it, the girl? She's a right numpty. It's a nice possible word to describe her. Yeah, like poorly behaved. The worst selection of kids ever.
So the theory is, Alex, is that Wonka knew that some of these events were going to happen. He can see the future.
No.
So, for example, we've just talked about kids misbehaving. You've got greedy Augustus Gloop. He's the first child to have an accident. He gets stuck up a fucking pipe. And do you know what? That's on you, mate. You went and decided you were going to mess around in this place. You're going home. That's it. You don't get a lift in the glass elevator.
Nuh-uh.
Everybody else after this event, Alex, they all go to this boat. But there's mysteriously only enough seats for the remaining group. Is that a coincidence?
Right? I know.
Did Wonka foresee this happening? Or is it just poor writing? Well, who knows? Let's go to the 2005 film. So one theorist speculates that Willy Wonka and his father are supernatural beings. The reasoning behind this theory is that his father's house is able to teleport.
Oh.
And the supernatural ability was activated by candy.
Right.
I mean, the 2005 film is a little bit more fantastical than the 1971 movie. But there's
a little bit darker, though, don't you think?
Yeah. Well,
like the squirrels, like that. One of them with the nuts. They say, "Don't touch the nuts." Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
And they grab the kids, and I've forgotten which kid it is, and it pulls it down a hole or something, dragging, screaming. That's a horror film. That's not a children's film. That's horrific.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, as I was saying, the 2005 film's a bit more fantastical, and there's all sorts of teleportation devices, and the glass elevator is just a little bit more unrealistic.
Yeah.
Um, Now, what is interesting, I didn't realise, is that there is an upcoming Willy Wonka origin story.
Yes, there is.
Screen, which I didn't realise. So there is potential to explore this, or it might just sound like he's just a normal guy. Could be very boring, but yeah. So that's my first one. That Willy Wonka and his father are supernatural beings, and we've explored both films. So he's an odd bloke.
Well, there's a slight spin on things. Is that your first Willy Wonka theory, Dan? Okay. The slight addition to that, that's fantastical, is that whilst everyone establishes that Willy Wonka is a candy genius, I don't think there's any question that the whole world is going bananas for these free tickets, right? So they know it. And obviously the candy, the chocolate, the sweets always taste better than its competitors. They indicating it's a secret ingredient.
Oh no. I can see where this is going, I think.
Yeah, it's children.
Oh, God.
At least according to this theory. Again, it gets dark. I'm sorry, listener. I did warn you. Just Dan brought it in sooner. Apparently, Wonka brings children to his factory under the guise of a tour, rigs it for a massive death trap. Now, why else would you take children into a well-established, world-famous, quality factory churning out delicious, delicious candy, sweets, and chocolate, just for the kids to have, lawsuits and accidents and become deformed? Well, you wouldn't, unless, of course, they're part of the processing of the food. And of course, it also indicates perhaps why he's so uncaring to their suggested potential demise, or at least their injuries, because they do get hurt. I think in the 71 version, don't they all end up okay at the end? I think isn't that what the inference is, that they didn't pass the test and they weren't worthy, but they're okay? I'm not sure if I'm just making up because I need it to be. But the more recent version is you don't ever see them again. That's because they're brown bread then.
They're in the chocolate.
They're in the chocolate. And the reason you also mentioned about the vacant seats, well, because by the time they get to the chocolate rivers, Mr. Wonka knows he's only got enough kids for those boats. It's not poor writing. It's not foreshadowing. He knows he's going to lose 2 or 3 people by the time he gets there. So he needs an extra boat. He has enough boats for enough people. The guy's a killer, Dan.
I'm not eating Willy Wonka chocolate ever again.
I'm not taking that fucking ticket. I'll give it away. That's on eBay, mate. I'm not going to that tour. No way, Jose. No chance.
Rather go to an American-owned Cadbury's chocolate factory.
Oh, no, don't go that far. Don't go that far.
No.
No. The original stuff. But yeah, it's very dark, Dan. Very dark start to the episode. But it's going to get darker.
Yeah, mine's not going to get any better, but I'm going to just sort of hit things on a little light note. It's only a small fan film theory.
Oh, yeah.
Let's head over to one of our favourite animated films, Shrek.
Oh, it is good, isn't it?
I do like Shrek, especially the first one. Good soundtrack.
First one's good. Second one's better. Third one, is that the time travel one or the alternate universe? No, that's not. That's
the fourth one, is it, from
Justin
2010?
Timberlake is the third one, which is a bit ropey. Yeah, the fourth one is just dire. Like I just can't stand it. I really dislike it. 1 and 2 are brilliant. 3 not so much. 4 just should never have bothered. The Christmas classics are better. Anyway, yes, Shrek, brilliant.
So we spend a lot of time exploring the backstories of its many characters. Now, there is one whose origin that isn't quite clear, Alex. Donkey. We never really see much of his backstory. We don't really know where he comes from, which begs the theory. Donkey was actually a human being at one point, but was one of the boys that was turned into a donkey at Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, as those donkeys could still talk.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's only a small theory, but I think there might be something in that, you know?
There might be. I mean, is it Pinocchio, do you say?
Yes.
Yeah, isn't Pinocchio set in, at least in the Disney iterations, like like medieval times or something. I seem to think it's not. Yeah, it makes sense. It could be connected. Dan, it's all connected, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many characters in Shrek. You've got the gingerbread man. They make references to the Muffin Man of
Muffin
Man, and all sorts. And of course, we do see Pinocchio in it. So I do think there could well be something in it. But although Pinocchio in Shrek is the wooden puppy, he's not the real boy.
No.
Does he ever turn into a real boy in Shrek? I can't.
He does momentarily. Then he's
disappointed.
Turned back. Yeah. That's a joke.
So, yeah.
I think he says, "I'm a real boy," and then something happens. Is it? No, I'm not again. Oh, I think that's in the second one.
So I thought I'd just bring a little bit of lightheartedness into it because it's going to get darker from here, Alex.
Oh yeah,
it's going to get a little bit more messed up as we go further on into my theories. Although I do have a very light-hearted one. It's quite a popular theory, but we'll get to that a bit later on. So, what is your second one, Alex? Here's the second one, isn't it? What's your third one?
Grease lightning.
Oh boy,
Grease is the word. Grease the film, 1978. Of course, we know it as John Travolta, who's an interesting character these days. But I mean, he's well-established actor, of course, right? Playing Danny Zuko, Olivia Newton-John, Sandy Olsen. I didn't realise this. Michelle Pfeiffer was in it.
Really?
Yeah, apparently. And many others. Odd film, aside from the fan theory, because all of these people, they're probably like, I don't know, their late 20s, early 30s, if not older. They're all playing teenagers who are at least half the age. You look at it and go, no way are these people like teenagers. Like, what is going on? But it works. But what doesn't work, Dan, is the red convertible that flies away at the very end. Has ever struck you as odd? The dying scenes where they've had their end of year. Some people have flunked, some people have succeeded, and they're going on to their futures. Danny and Sandy have reconciled the differences. They now look incredibly beautiful people because apparently black leather does that to people. And they get into a car and they just fly off into the sky, waving to their friends below. Bit odd, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a theory, Dan, that at the start of the film, when we see Danny and Sandy meeting, she never made it off that beach.
Funny you say this, Alex. I think one of our listeners wrote in with this fan theory.
Yeah.
He said, this is from Rob. He said, here's a fan film theory that blows my mind and I think is complete fucking nonsense in equal measure.
Yeah.
Grease, classic. But according to many, none of it is real. And I know where you're going to go with this, Alex, if this is what lines up with Rob's comment.
It's going to.
Sandy actually did drown with Danny at the beach in Summer Nights. Danny sings, I saved her life. She nearly drowned. And it's all a dying fantasy in Sandy's mind. Have a nice day. I feel like there might be a bit of a song here, Alex.
I think so.
Summer loving, it's all in your head.
Oh, he's good, guys.
This fan theory means that you're dead.
Oh.
Right, that's it. That's all you're getting. I can't.
That's all we need. It's a banger. Yeah. In effect, it was Rob, do you say?
Yes, that was Rob.
Yeah, spot on, Rob, because the theory is, as she drowns, her brain is deprived of oxygen, and she has a vivid coma fantasy involving her summer fling with Danny that never happened, where they shared a magical year of high school together. The visions get increasingly outlandish as time passes, until finally, as Danny desperately tries to resuscitate her on the beach, she sees herself flying to heaven in her dying moments. Yep.
I mean, these fan theories are just ruining films for us.
Jesus. But, yeah, I mean, it could explain a lot. It does rather take to put an edge on what is quite a happy-go-lucky sing-along film, doesn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's very similar to the fan theory of the holiday. I feel like someone just watched Grease, took that fan theory, and went, "Do you know what? I'm going to apply that to the holiday. I'm going to ruin all of your
Yeah,
favorite films."
I'm gonna make it sad and depressing. So I hope that's not the case, but it is a well established theory, and perhaps the listener knows all about it. But yeah, that's my second stroke third one about Greece.
Mm.
Hmm.
I've got
What's
a
your
couple,
Dan?
I've got a couple of Disney ones coming up next.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now, this is dark theories galore, and
Oh,
this could very much be an episode on its own. It's a very deep rabbit hole. So I've only chosen two,
hmm.
but we'll take it in turns. So this first one, Alex, Nemo was an imaginary device for Marlin to come to terms
Oh,
with his wife's death.
oh, yeah.
I
I've
mean,
heard this.
I hope no kids are listening to this because I'm just going to completely destroy this film for you.
Well, Dan, unfortunately, you have sworn quite a lot. So I hope for the children, and their parents, they haven't listened up at this point. So anything past this point is fair game, I think, in my opinion.
Indeed. So, in Latin, Alex, Nemo translates to no one.
Oh,
Yeah. This helps spur the theory that Marlin's son doesn't actually exist in the film, but is just an invention he uses in order to come to terms with the death of his wife.
oh dear.
We actually see Marlin go through the 5 stages of grief in this film. So, first, we see him in denial. This is when he invents Nemo's egg after the rest of his family are killed. The second being anger, as he freaks out whenever Nemo is too far away from him. The third is bargaining. This is where he convinces Dory to join his quest and then puts up with her. She's quite an annoying fish.
Yes.
The fourth is despair. Now, this is when he sees Nemo flushed down the toilet was it the dentist?
It was,
Yeah.
They organised this very elaborate event to try and escape the dentist, or actually the granddaughter, who has a habit of shaking fish to their deaths. Yes, he ends up, where you spit into the tray. It takes all the crap out of your mouth. On the dentist, that thing, it gets flushed down there. So yeah, one of my favourite films actually, Dan.
Can't spit in those at the moment, Alex. Speaking from
No,
experience.
yeah, you go into a cup, don't you?
Yeah, do it into a cup now.
You get drool all down your chin. I mean, it's not the best look ever when you go to a dentist, is it? Because you've got that little napkin and those glasses on. And now you've got pink or purple crap down your chin because you can't spit out. Anyway, we digress.
Yes. But yeah, just due to COVID, you can't actually spit in the sink anymore.
Oh.
But here we are. And finally, we see him come to acceptance. This is where he's able to let Nemo go off on his own at the end.
Oh, yes, to go to school, isn't it?
I mean, it's a nice metaphor, but it belongs in the sea with the fish, I'm afraid. Don't ruin these films for us with your dark theories.
No, thank you.
Nothing in it for me because, of course, Finding Dory, we see Nemo again. So
We do.
Here we are. So that's my first of... Oh, actually, no, I've got 2 more Disney ones after this, although one of them's a little bit more lighthearted. On to your next one, Alex.
Mary Poppins.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
You're not going to destroy another classic for me, are you, Alex?
I don't think so. I mean, were you ever a fan of the film?
As a kid, I was.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched it since I was probably in like single digits.
Yeah. 1964. It had obviously live action, almost like theatre, wasn't it? Watching on the screen, but they had hand drawn art alongside it, animation. Of course, starring Julie Andrews as the famous nanny, Dick Van Dyke, many others. All about a nanny who comes to stay. Is it in a grand house in London? Looks after 2 kids. And she's got all these wonderful gadgets, gizmos, and she's magical, isn't she, Dan?
Yes, yeah.
Nope. She's a supernatural creature.
Which would explain why she can fly with an umbrella. So.
Yeah. So this fan theory and this is a stretch, and this might go into my third category of these people need to seek help, is, no, it's not the first time I'll say it during this recording, Mary Poppins is of the same species as It.
No way.
So both Mary Poppins and Pennywise are both supernatural creatures of the same race that feed on human emotional energy. And that was a statement I never thought I'd ever hear myself saying out loud on the podcast, but there we go. Now, among their similarities, they can produce illusions. They're both associated with red balloons, Dan.
Of course.
They both love to dance. People forget about them once they leave their presence. They seem to hibernate for about 1.5 decades between feedings. Now, in both cases, children end up floating. And it's rather a coincidence that there's lots of similarities between the two. So yeah, Mary Poppins isn't quite as family friendly as we might think. Maybe she has a lot more in common with the dark demon that resides in the sewers.
Jesus. God help us.
I did always wonder about how did she manage to have so many strange and wonderful things in her handbag. And now we know. It's a demon hole. Exactly what it was.
Good God. Let's hope we
never trust a nanny who floats into your life, clutching balloons.
Could be related to a clown thing in the sewers.
Yeah, not good.
Holy cow.
I know. Mary Poppins. Dad, next up, tell me.
Aladdin.
Oh, yeah. Now, that was one of the first films. I think we said this over the years now. First films I saw in the cinema. 97?
1992.
Yeah. I loved it.
Absolute classic. I think we've talked about the remake as well, the live action. Were you a fan?
I didn't mind it. A little bit odd. Will Smith, I mean, obviously he's been in the news for different reasons. I didn't mind it. The music's pretty good. And I think, is it Mina Masood?
Yes. Yeah, Mina Masood.
I thought it was brilliant. Of course, more recently, I think, I say that, beginning just before COVID, wasn't it? We talk about how he hasn't seen work since. And I thought he did a really good job. I thought he was a brilliant actor. So very sad. But yeah, don't mind it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. I quite enjoyed the live action, but we're talking primarily about the 1992 animation.
Oh, yeah. Robert Williams.
Yeah. So apparently it's set in a post-apocalyptic future. Now, hear me out. At first, it seems clear that the film is set in ancient times in the Middle East. What if the world of Aladdin is an arid post-apocalyptic society, get my words out there, that was rebuilt from the ground up 10,000 years after a giant nuclear war that set technological advancement back to medieval times?
It could make sense. Look at Mad Max.
There's plenty of references here, Alex, from the genie, played by the late Robin Williams. Now, he's at the forefront of the movie, which sees a street urchin granted 3 wishes. Now, the genie's been locked up for 10,000 years, yet he makes pop culture references such as Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jack Nicholson impressions. Genie also makes a comment about Aladdin's clothes and calls them so 3rd century. How would he know, Alex, that they're so 3rd century if he's been trapped away for 10,000 years?
Good point.
To add further credence to this theory, the video game adaptation, did you ever play that, Alex, on the Mega Drive?
Yeah, really good. Actually, I played it on PC. I went round to my friend's house after school. I didn't really have computer games at this point before I got my Sega Master System. That's a different episode of retro gaming. Great episode, in fact. I played Doom, which by that age I was far too young to be playing. And yeah, the Aladdin game, which it's a really good game. It's a fantastic side scroller. I love it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. There was a few others out there as well. You had the Lion King as well. I think you can get these as like a twin pack if you've got a Switch. Just throwing out there. I haven't got them, unfortunately. I mean, there's like the whole nostalgia tax these days. You pay 30 quid for
Yeah.
a slightly HD remaster, but yeah, I haven't got the time or money, I'm afraid. But anyway, Alex, this computer game features traffic signs that definitely would not have existed centuries
right.
ago, but could be the remnants of modern society in the post-apocalyptic world. So that's Aladdin in a post-apocalyptic world.
Wow.
Your thoughts? Is it just clever writing or poor
Um,
writing, or do you think there's something in that?
and this is the thing. So it's interesting, actually. You never look at it really with those type, that lens, those eyes. It could be, and actually, it could be set whenever. We just assume it's back in olden days, but actually, it could well be. To some extent, it's a much better vision of an apocalyptic world than other depictions in cinema. So if that's the case, it's not quite so sad as the likes of Waterworld or Mad Max or whatever. So yeah, why not?
Do you know what? I'm going to jump on board. Post-apocalyptic world, all in.
You know what? I'm going to rewatch it, and then I'm going to look at it with those eyes and see what I feel.
Let's do
I
it.
don't think it'll take anything away from the magic, though. I mean, it's still a really lovely story. I still think there's everything that's offered. I think it's a great one.
Yeah, I'm all in on that. Post-apocalyptic world. And do you know what? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to rewatch it. It's been a few years now.
About time.
And I'm going to watch it with the same eyes you are. Is it post-nuclear war? Let's do it.
Done.
On to your next one, Alex.
Yeah, we've talked about this over the years. So I won't talk too much about the actual film itself. It's a classic anyway, so everyone should know about it. Home Alone, 1990. Macaulay Culkin, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara, Kieran Culkin, Devin Rattray, John Hurd. I could go on. There's loads of those different very talented actors. Home Alone, though, is related to the Saw franchise, Dan. So a family-friendly film that's about, it's a comedy, I guess, about a child who's left unwittingly to his own devices, to have to fend off two criminals who are home invaders. And apparently it's got synergies with what's quite a horrific and dark and quite a violent and bloody horror franchise.
Oh, boy.
Put a pin in that. Have you seen it's not a remake, but more modern version with Ashley B, the comedian?
Yes, yeah.
What do you think about that, out of interest?
I mean, I take it for what it is. I mean, it's
100%.
It's got nothing on 1 and 2.
No.
More realistic. The fact that the house gets trashed and that's it. They go home and it literally is a mess.
It's buggered.
Don't get that in Home Alone 1. He's cleared
Nope.
that house out just in time for his mum to come home. I'm having none of it.
No. I mean, I didn't want to like it, but actually, for what it was, you say, I thought it was all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure to see it again this coming Christmas, but yeah, I thought it was okay. But anyway, yes. So, as we know, the first two Home Alone movies concern Kevin, who's setting up traps for a couple of stupid criminals. But don't you think he has a little bit too much fun, Dan, in torturing, causing these men extreme pain?
Yeah, I mean, you've got him stepping on a massive nail going up the stairs. You've got one of them being blowtorched on the head, putting his hand on a hot handle.
Correct.
Iron to the face, shooting them in the nuts and the head with his bloody air rifle.
BB gun.
It's quite sadistic. I mean, how these two blokes survive, I have no idea.
I have no idea. And that's just the first film. The second film is not...
It's even worse.
Not much, yeah. I mean, he's launched them into the air. He's setting light to them on the rope. He's throwing tin cans and tools at their heads. Yeah, these guys should be certifiably dead, but they're not. But he had a lot of fun trying to take these guys out.
Mm.
Well, according to some, Kevin actually never grew out of his need to create elaborate statistic traps. Ends up changing his name to John Kramer.
Oh, God.
Maybe spent some time in the clinic. And later became a jigsaw killer to satisfy a psychotic need to torture people.
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
Now, the timelines don't really work out because Kevin is 80 in 1990 and Jigsaw's in his 50s in the early 2000s. But if you suspend that kind of knowledge and belief, there might be something in it. The kid, there's just something a little bit unhinged about him. But could he be the Jigsaw killer?
I think when you look at the timelines in there, I don't think it works, but, nice try.
There we go. Yeah, that's Kevin McAllister is Saw.
So my next one's actually quite a popular fan theory. Let's head over to Pixar.
Oh, yeah.
All the films take place in the same universe. Now, hear me out.
Yes.
I've got a few bullet points here. The Mr. Incredible Aladdin magazine in Finding Nemo, which was being read in the dentist.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a Buzz Lightyear toy in the dentist's office as well. Duke Kaboom in The Incredibles. Now, I've got a bit of a side note. The toys of Toy Story find themselves in multiple Pixar movies, such as Rex and Ham appearing in Wally's collection, Lotso and Up, Jessie in Monsters, Inc., and Buzz in The Incredibles. You've got Bon Voyage from The Incredibles is in Ratatouille.
Oh, right.
Also fully clad in his villain costume, might I add. Hank the Octopus from Finding Dory is in The Good Dinosaur. Saint Cecilia, which is the main setting of Coco, is in Cars 3. There's an Incredibles poster in Coco. Dorothea Williams' album is in Onwards. Now, Dorothea is the sporting character in Soul. Now, there's a couple of other references, Alex. There is the Chinese takeout box. This far has appeared in 7 feature Pixar films: A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Ratatouille, Inside Out, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, and Soul, as well as a short film, Lamp Life. The restaurant from which this box comes must be very popular, as it finds itself in multiple Pixar films and in multiple locations across the Pixar world. Not the only food reference, Alex, to appear across multiple films. We've got the Pizza Planet truck.
Oh, yes.
Now, this debuted in 1995's Toy Story, which I think was the first Pixar film ever made, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Great film.
It's also had a manner of many cameos, from wood carvings to abandoned on an empty planet since then.
Oh.
It has found its way into every single Pixar movie except for The Incredibles, which only had a truck resembling this iconic vehicle. It likely always will pop up in Pixar films in some form or another, adding so much fuel to the Pixar theory fire, with Pizza Planet's business seemingly booming around the Pixar world. So it's almost like Domino's or Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I can get on board with this popular fan theory. That's only a handful of like Easter eggs that come across around all the films. I'm sure there's so many more. I reckon it's all there, Alex. It's all pieced together in this crazy world. I think the Monsters, Inc. thing is sort of set in its own little universe. They just come through the doors into this big universe to scare kids. I'm all board. What do you think?
I think they're all connected. I think, as you say, there's Easter eggs all over the shop, and there's little tidbits and nods. And why don't they? Why don't they all inhabit the same world? I'm all for it, Dan. I love that idea.
So that is Pixar. All the films set in the same universe.
I'm all for it.
I've got 3 left after this, Alex, and I've brought you up to bring you back down.
Oh. Well, I'm going to reach that point first, Dan. I got my final two. They're going to go together. Harry Potter. We love Harry Potter, don't we?
We do.
The new game. Have you seen the new game trailer, by the way, Dan?
No,
What?
I've seen screenshots and stuff
Oh,
on
damn.
like IGN and stuff. It looks fantastic. Like it looks beautiful.
Yeah, go see I think it was in the PlayStation early access type conference thing a couple of weeks ago. Go watch it. It's about 2.5, 3 minutes. It talks about the world, talks about some things you'll be doing. It looks brilliant. Set before Harry Potter, but still in the school, Hogwarts, around the late 1800s. And it looks great. You get sorted, you hang out in your common room, you go down to, what's the town?
Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade. You could do all those things. You have your room of requirement where you stash all your. Yeah, it looks great. Anyway, I digress. If that's your bag, guys, go give it a look. Dan, I recommend it. I'll dig it out and I'll send it to you. It's great. But then we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Harry Potter films. And the first one, Dan, is about the Dursleys.
Yeah, Joe, I think one of our listeners has sent this one in to us as well from my namesake.
Let's read out Dan's end first. Let me take away some of their shine. Let them kick us off.
He said, movie/book theory. The Dursleys were so cruel to Harry because he was a Horcrux.
100%.
They couldn't help themselves, overwhelmed by the negative energy coming from Harry. Now, my only question is, Alex, you know, obviously they've had like long-term exposure to Harry to be this bad. Why doesn't it happen to Hermione and Ron and all the other characters at the school?
Good question. And maybe because they're magic, I don't know.
Good theory.
But we do see Hermione's moods are affected by the Slytherin locket when she ends up wearing it during the Deathly Hallows Part 1. So we do know that being in close proximity to a Horcrux does make you a bit grumpy. So, yeah, it could be that actually it wasn't their fault. They weren't dickheads. They weren't bad people. It was just Harry's proximity to them that caused them to be a bit miserable. I don't know how I feel about that because obviously the Dursleys are a way of Harry escaping to the magical world. That's where he belongs anyway. And it makes his severance from the human world a little bit easier. And it's a great start to the books. The first, is it 3 or 4, where he's still at home? Until then, he's old enough to leave and be under his own steam with his uncle. Either works for me. I can see what they're getting at. I mean, as far as I'm aware, the rather now controversial J.K. Rowling hasn't said that's a fact. But it could make sense. It's an interesting theory, I think, for sure. And yeah, great shout, Dan, and a great theory. There's another one, though, and this one really rocked me. I heard about 10, 12 years ago, Dan. Apparently, the series is about mental illness. And Hogwarts is a mental institution.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's really quite sad. Now, bear with. So, apparently, it can be seen as an extended metaphor about a boy with severe mental illness suffering from delusions. Now, everything depicted in the movie can be interpreted as a delusional perspective of his attempts to cope with the harsh realities of confinement in a mental institution. Every major event in the book is a fantasy or delusional version of the experience that a child would encounter in the course of being institutionalized and forcibly treated for mental illness like some time ago. As we know, we're really quite fortunate we live in an age where mental illness is now understood, it's empathized, there's sympathy, and it's dealt with not just by shoving drugs down your throat, but actually talking to people, understanding, educating. But it wasn't long ago now, 20, 30 plus years ago, where actually it was quite the opposite. And it could be seen rather draconian. And this is kind of where this is hinged on, is that Harry is locked away and Hogwarts is a place where it's a mental institution, and these things happen to him. And actually, the events of the magical world are transposed upon the sad events that's happening whilst he is incarcerated in a mental institution. And that's really dark, and that's really sad. And when I read it, I was like, "Oh man, that there could be something in that." And I hope it isn't. I mean, have you got any thoughts on that, Dan? I mean, you're stunned to silence. Have you got any?
I mean, that's pretty dark, isn't it? I mean, the whole point of these, films and stuff is that I think people look into this stuff too much. They're designed to sort of take you away. Some of them are fiction, some of them are non-fiction. But hey, I'm stunned to silence.
Right.
Madness.
We talk about the Dursleys. Well, the Dursleys in this fan theory, gets even darker, are actually his real parents. The Potters are actually imaginary.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the Dursleys either can't cope with the increasingly delusional boy living with them, or perhaps they are merely abusive and it's abuse that's making him delusional. But in any event, the parent figures constantly mistreat him, favour the brother, and inflict endless cruelty and humiliation on him. Now, one day, Harry snaps. Dudley, who is actually really Harry's brother, is severely injured in a way requiring repeated hospital treatments. Of course, as we know at the beginning of the first film, Harry imagines that a pig's tail is magically grown from Dudley's buttocks. But as a result of the incident, Harry's taken away to a special school. And that is the beginning of his imaginary tales.
Wow. That is really dark. Like, genuinely quite. I don't think I'll ever look at Harry Potter in the same way again.
I know. There is more. I could talk about the obsession with the mirror and where he sees his perfect peer parents, who of course doesn't exist. Or other aspects. Of course, with the Diggory death. But anyway, yeah, it's very, very dark. But I don't subscribe to that, Dan. I subscribe to the wonderful Wizarding World as it should be. Not the controversial version we have now, with J.K. Rowling hating upon gender identity and fluidity and the rest of it. But no, the core beauty that was 1997, I want to say, Harry Potter.
Yeah, roughly then.
Series. It's a wonderful book, wonderful film. And that's what I'm going with. Not this nonsense, but it's a fan theory. And at least on Reddit, it's got quite a lot of attention.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. That is all of my miserable. I'm so sorry, Dan, and listener. But those are all my miserable, dark fan theories. But you've got two more, do you say?
I've got three.
Three. Tell us, what is it?
Three more. So obviously I brought you up, and now I'm going to bring you back down. Let's go to Back to the Future, the first film.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute classic from 1985. Ooh. Emmett Brown was suicidal.
What?
Yeah, for real. So this is a legit fan theory. So I dug this one out yesterday after we decided we weren't going to record because, we're both still a bit nasally, got a bit of a cough, but that's fine. We're here now. We're doing this.
The show must go on.
The Doc is ready to kill himself along with Marty in the parking lot during the first time travel scene. So, of course, I can't remember what international identity they were, but they come along, they shoot the rifles at them because, the Doc's got his uranium or whatever it is from them, and he's bumped them off. He's not paid them. It's his life in the end, but hey, here we are. But before they come along, they test the DeLorean, of course. But of course, many of his inventions have already been failures. So this is his last-ditch attempt to find out that if his life's work has been a huge success or a complete waste. He not only drives the DeLorean towards himself, he, of course, grabs onto Marty and pulls him in the way with him when he tries to run away. If that first time travel test was a failure, they both would have been killed. Which is exactly what Doc wanted had the experiment been a failure. You know, this car
No.
is going at you 88 miles per hour. You're brown bread if that hits you.
Yeah,
And,
you
you
ain't
know,
walking away from that.
thankfully, it was a success. I think someone's just looked at that a bit too deeply. Doc
I
knew
do
it
hope
was
so.
Doc knew it was going to work, and it did.
He's a genius. He's a mad genius, and he knew all along.
It's non-fiction. Always getting them wrong. Have I got that right? Non-fiction?
It's fiction.
It's fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fictional. It's not supposed to be real. Just enjoy it for what it is. Marty goes back to 1955, kisses his mum. The end.
Whoop. That itself is problematic.
Yeah. Absolute classic trilogy, though. Highly recommend to anyone, and do not look too much into that theory.
Yeah, look past the Oedipus complex that Dan's just referenced. It's a good series of films.
Now I've brought you down, I'm going to bring you into the weird and sticking to the time travel. So let's go on to Titanic, the absolute belter from 1997. Jack Dawson is from the future.
Oh, I've heard about this one.
It's kind of weird. I just think it's shit writing, to be honest.
Oh, shots fired.
I'm firing shots right now. Could Jack Dawson's intentions for saving Rose in Titanic have been something other than love, Alex? Well, if you believe in this fan theory, I'd say all signs point to yes. So Jack is actually a time traveller who's come back in time to keep Rose from committing suicide. Now, there's no evidence to suggest why he's stopping her from committing suicide, but obviously, you know, she's miserable. You know, Rose committing suicide would have caused a delay in the ship's course and potentially kept the Titanic from crashing. The wait will have meant warmer weather and no icebergs. I mean, I'm not quite sure why you'd go back to alter history for this disaster to happen. I'm sure you'd want to stop it from happening.
And it's a one-way ticket, as we end up finding out. There was plenty of room in that door. We talked about it before. He could have had a lovely, cozy spot next to her, but he didn't.
And if you go back on our social media, there was plenty of room for an on-the-topic logo. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, if there's room for a logo, there's room for a little Jack.
So anyway, so these are some of the points that would suggest that he is a time traveller. He has no currency from this time period, and he had to gamble to get a ticket for the Titanic.
Huh.
He talks of fishing at Lake Wissota. Now, this is a man-made lake from 1917.
What?
Indeed. He also claims he's going to take Rose on a roller coaster at Santa Monica Pier. This was not built until 1916. Other things which are worth mentioning: his haircut is out of this place and out of this era. And his backpack was not common until the late 1930s. So how would Jack know about these future things?
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking Titanic? I mean, I know it's based on true events, but was that story based on true events?
I don't think so.
No, it can't.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing. I think you're right. It just goes to show there's significant plot holes in lazy writing of the storyline, and the historians that were tasked with helping out probably didn't do their job properly. And the makeup department probably should have done better.
Because I was going to say, if this was based on a true story, in the sense it was coming from a real person where these events actually happened, as you get older, your memory becomes skewed anyway.
Yeah.
So it could just be, well, not poor storytelling in the sense, but you know, your mind's skewed and you sort of forget these little things. You sort of all reimagine them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no, not for me.
So time travel, Titanic, get in the sea.
Yeah.
Yes,
Get hit by an iceberg. See you later.
Shoddy writing. Terrible. And my last one, Alex, we're going to hit up our favourite film.
Jurassic Park.
We are.
Oh, I'm playing, by the way, the second Jurassic World Evolution.
Is it any good?
Yeah, well, it's effectively an expansion of the first one, so never pay full price for it. But it's good fun. It really is good fun. The things that would gripe you in the first game, if you played it, have been largely removed and improved upon the second. So, yeah, enjoy the first because I know you recently got it. We talked about it before. And when the time comes, buy the second because it's really good fun. I'm enjoying it.
So, obviously, if anyone isn't familiar with Jurassic Park, it is a fiction, and cloned dinosaurs don't exist in the real world, of course.
No,
but one fan theory argues that in universe, Jurassic Park's prehistoric creations weren't clones.
Oh.
They are made from dinosaur DNA, but amalgamations made from different animals that were built to resemble what people think dinosaurs look like. Now, the pseudoscience in Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park and Michael Crichton's original novel states that InGen cloned dinosaurs from DNA harvested from mosquitoes that were preserved in amber. So, of course, you see this in the first film. They drill into the amber and pull out the dino DNA. These little pests drank dino blood. InGen extracted dino DNA, filling in the gaps with genetic codes of amphibian DNA, which I think was frogs.
Yes.
To create Jurassic Park's original 15 dinosaurs species. So you had the raptors, Dilophosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Gallimimus. Did I mention Rexy? Can't remember.
No. Yeah, Rexy.
There's a good handful there, you know. Now, ever since the film was released, scientists have argued how Jurassic Park is filled with dinosaur mistakes. So, of course, the real life world has gotten involved. One, any DNA in a mosquito would have degraded over 65 million years. I mean, come on, guys. This is why it's fiction. Two, there would also have been multiple DNA samples mixed from multiple dinosaurs a dinosaur drank from. So the odds of finding a mosquito carrying the DNA of a single species of dinosaur are staggering. In the real world, genetically engineering dinosaurs using InGen's methods just aren't possible based on those two things from the real world scientists. This fan theory makes a case that InGen also knew it couldn't be done and that John Hammond's explanation for how he made dinosaurs was an elaborate cover story.
Absolute fraud.
It gets better, Alex. It gets so much better. What InGen actually did in Jurassic Park was genetically engineer animals from reptile, mammal, and avian DNA to create what most people believe are what dinosaurs look like.
Monsters. They made monsters, Dan, not dinosaurs.
They did. So science now knows that many real dinosaurs had feathers. So a velociraptor wasn't actually the size of a human, but was actually the size of a chimpanzee. And of course, as we referenced in the past, the Dilophosaurus doesn't spit that green gunk. Ooh. I think that was actually invented by, I can't remember who invented it. I can't remember if it came from Michael Crichton or if it was Spielberg, because I think the big spanny things that come out when it's like hissing, that was invented by one of them as well, which is quite interesting. I think it was in our behind the scenes.
Yeah. Still looks good though on the screen, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it more exciting. But, you know, no one wants a little tiny thing trying to eat you. It's boring. Let's make it more extravagant. Let's have it spitting venom at your face and then chewing your face off while you're trying to get away in your car.
Beautiful.
So the dinosaurs Jurassic Park aren't actually clones, but a series of genetic experiments. The dinosaur theme park itself was a way for John Hammond to bilk the public and profit from showing the world real dinosaurs. Now let's bring in Dr. Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm. Now they were a part of the ruse, Alex. They were hired by Hammond. They were hired to sign off on... No, I tell a lie. They weren't hired to sign off on the safety of Jurassic Park, as they were led to believe. Hammond had actually invited them along to see if he could fool them with the clone dino story. Now, if our three experts believed the dinosaurs were real, so would the public.
Mm.
The theory has a degree of merit to its logic, even in InGen's extracting DNA from mosquito in amber. Methods were 100% on the level. None of the dinosaurs were 100% genetically accurate anyway. They are all partially comprised of frog DNA, are all female, and were bred with lysine deficiency.
Oh.
Jurassic Park may have also been damaging to the real-world public perception of dinosaurs since its popularity was defined, or has defined, what people think dinosaurs look and act like. So what do you think of that one, Alex? That rounds up for all my theories, but are we just ruining fictional stories here?
Yeah, probably. But that's why we're here. Our sole purpose. No, I'm joking, of course. There could be something in that last one. But then, is not the whole point of storytelling to suspend all belief and to transport yourself to that story, into that place, and that time. That's why we enjoy it so much. So, yeah, that's why it's fan theory. No, in reality, they are dinosaurs that came from a single bit of amber and from a crazy old man. And he's and no better way to spend his money than to open a very dangerous park in Isla Nublar.
Indeed.
But, yeah, they're very dark theories, and apologies, listener. But hopefully some of them are entertaining, if not cautionary tales of woe in the real world setting.
So, yeah, that is it. We've done our listeners as well, Alex. So 2 of them tied into 2 of yours, actually. So
yeah, lovely. Great
that
minds
made it
think alike.
fun. So big thanks to Rob and Dan for getting involved.
Yeah, shout out.
So what have we got coming up next, Alex? So of course, we'll be doing a review of Moonlight, which I look forward to. And no doubt Doctor Strange, which is due out in 2 weeks, if that.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
And I think we're going to revisit computer games.
We are. You had a good idea. So I've already mentioned before, retro gaming, one of our earlier episodes. Really good fun. We talk about our own experiences. A lot of listening traction, I think, on that one, actually.
We did get a lot on that one.
Yeah, lots of nostalgia and lots of people sharing their stories and fond memories. And Dan, you've got some ideas for us to perhaps regale the listener with some of our favourite games of all time?
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's going to be worth a visit. Turns out I'm quite a big fan of open world gaming. So I'm looking forward to sort of exploring this episode, and hopefully neither of us choose FIFA or Marvel's Avengers.
FIFA 98 was good. That's, I think, arguably, in my opinion, the last time there was a decent FIFA. And you could turn off the ref. So you could walk up to the keeper, the opposing keeper, foul him, and then just walk the ball over the scoreline. Of course, that was too easy. But if you're struggling in the tournament, all you've got to do is quickly go to the settings, turn off the ref, and you've won.
Oh, jeez.
I think it was also the first year that they had, is it the World Cup teams? I think they introduced a separate FIFA World Cup. But 98 was the one where they had World Cup teams included in the UK national. Brilliant game. But yeah, it won't. Contrary to my tales of love and admiration for that title, it won't be on my list.
There was a FIFA game where I think it was 2001 or 2002, where the disc was scratch and sniff. You'd scratch it and it smelled like the lawn. Yeah.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, 100%.
Let me Google this one. Come on, this can't be a thing.
This is a thing. I'm sure I remember it because my brother had it, and I was like, "What is this? Why?"
I've got to be very careful about what I'm Googling here. I'm Googling scratch and sniff FIFA.
I think it was 2001. I'm sure it is.
No. Let's all take a minute to remember that FIFA 2001 had a scratch and sniff disc. Fuck off, Dan. That's not a thing. No.
100%. That it was a thing. Yeah.
UK release of FIFA 2001 had a scratch and sniff disc complete with authentic pitch smell. What?
Yeah.
No.
It's bonkers, isn't it? Absolutely bonkers. Only on the PlayStation.
No way. Apparently, you can buy it for £4.50 if you still want to.
I'll pass, but
Wow.
I've got no console to play it on. But
That's absolutely mind blowing, Dan.
yeah, nuts, isn't it? But I think it's going to be a fun episode to dive down. I think we'll open up to everything, from retro gaming up until current point. I think it'll be fun. People voted for it. I think it got about 67% on the poll for a yes.
I'll take those numbers.
But look, we're not here to just do our own thing. If you want us to do a different episode, we're always open to suggestions.
Yeah, get in touch. Let us know.
Get involved. So, Alex, people can get in touch with us, can't they? I better reel those off.
As always.
We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On The Topic Pod. And if you follow any of those socials, and I think we usually put them in the episode description as well, there is a link to Anchor, which allows you to leave us a voice message and be a part of the show like some of our previous listeners. And we have got Gmail, which is On The Topic Podcast at gmail.com. And if you're feeling adventurous, we also have a WordPress, Alex.
We do, yeah. We've got a lovely website. It's if you go over to On The Topic Podcast, all one word, all lowercase, .wordpress.com. On there, you can see our ugly mugs. You can read our bios. You can visit links to our affiliate clothing website, Morbid and Mundane. Shout out to Joey. Hope the family doing well. His new edition. You can also, if you haven't got a podcast platform preference of choice, that's a mouthful. Especially this time of night recording, then you can stream a whole back catalogue all the way back from our earlier days, and you can listen to all of our episodes there. So go give it a visit, go give it a read, and go give it a listen on WordPress.
Indeed. And that rounds up for another week, Alex.
Yes.
I'm just blown away. I have no words for some of these theories. I'm just going to bow out for the night. This has been dark. I've been Dan.
And yeah, I need some positive mental thoughts. I'm going to go and watch some Disney films. I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next time. Summer loving, it's all in your head.
Oh, he's good, guys.
This fan theory means that you're dead.
Oh.